Was a girl running in our group. She had a high-speed motor in a 40 Ford Coupe. She had a racing cam and a supercharged. Look out, buddy, hot rod and large. She's a hot rod. She's a hot rod.
Chuck, this is not a surprise to me, but it's the first time it's come out. Electric vehicle drivers want safety features at charging stations. And they're talking safety at charging stations is a top priority for electric vehicle drivers, but many stations lack the basic safety features, according to a report by the Transportation Energy Unit. We're talking bright lights and all kinds of stuff they don't have. Here, they have bright lighting and security cameras they want to have. About half of the charging stations in the survey have multiple charging ports 24/7. 24/7 service and bright lighting around their chargers. About 2/3 of the station are in highly visible areas and have security cameras. Safety features and other amenities at the chargers are becoming more critical as the U.S. builds a nationwide public charging network. See, more than half of the electric vehicle drivers spend 30 minutes to an hour at charging stations, and about a third purchase a snack or a drink while they are charging, according to the report. I wonder if Elon's going to have a bar. He's going to have a bar with you.
Remember, he's going to have the swimming pool and the movie theater and all kinds of stuff.
Oh, yeah, and a bar. I mean, get nice and loaded and go back on the highway. Not me. Not anybody should do that. That's crazy. But people are complaining that, you go into a dark area. Would you send your wife to charge the car?
Well, and that's a good point. We've talked a lot about the idea of like carjackings, for instance. We know that the cars have gotten so theft-proof that the only way to steal your car is to take your keys from you,
is to get you in
while you're standing there. So, in the case of that, I guess the other question is, the electric cars are pretty smart, though. So if somebody, let's say you're at a charging station, somebody takes your car, the assumption is they can find it pretty quickly.
Oh yeah, they can do that. But if they can put it on the back of a tow truck and turn it off, drive it 2 blocks, 3 blocks, and put it on a tow truck, then it's a different ballgame.
Well, they just tie a rope around it and tow it with their pickup truck or something.
They could do that too.
But that even the idea of like purse thefts and stuff. That somebody's gonna be standing there. That they're gonna not be able to go anywhere. You can just run up and snatch their purse, or their wallet might be sitting there.
Oh yeah, they can take stuff out of the car.
Right.
Oh yeah, or worse. I don't think it's very good. BMW had imported 8,000 vehicles into the U.S. with parts that were banned from a Chinese supplier. The automaker continued to import Mini Coopers with banned parts from Sichuan Jingweida Technology Group until at least April. A report by the Senate Finance Committee Chairman Ron Wyden's staff said BMW imported 8,000 Mini Coopers with parts from a Chinese supplier banned under a 2021 law that BMW continued to, 2021 law, and that BMW continued to import the products with the banned parts until at least April. BMW Group said in an email it had taken steps to halt the importation of affected vehicles. Congress in 2021 passed the Uyghur Forced Labor Prevention Act, UFLPA. I'm not going to worry about that acronym. The aim was to strengthen enforcement of laws to prevent the import of goods from China's Xinjiang region believed to have been produced with forced labor by members of the country's Uyghur, or whatever that is. It's
the Uyghurs. The
Uyghurs? Is that a Uyghurs? Okay. Minority group. Of course, China denies the allegations. Yeah, well, and they are so truthful in China. I would take that as gospel. How about you? All right. Well, that vote in was that Alabama? Yes. Mercedes workers have turned down the UAW. That's not pretty. According to the National Labor Relations Board, 56% of the 4,687 votes cast in the 5-day election that ended Friday were against joining the union. The NLRB must still certify the results. The defeat came less than a month after the UAW notched its first win in the South the Southern U.S. versus Volkswagen's plant in Tennessee, which it hoped to replicate in Alabama, but it didn't happen. But union supporters faced stronger opposition from Mercedes as well as from Alabama politicians and business leaders. Some of them people down south, they're non-union. Boy, they're violently not non-union. UAW President Shawn Fain said the loss stings, it hurts, and that the next step would be up to Mercedes workers. If the NLRB, National Labor Relations Board, certifies the results, workers must wait at least a year to file for another election. This is a classic David versus Goliath fight, Fain said Friday afternoon. Sometimes Goliath wins a battle, but ultimately David will win the war. Oh, God. This is going to be a battle down there. It's going to be a big one. All the southern states are like that. In Alabama, I mean, they got the government involved in Alabama. They brought those guys out and they said, no, we don't want you to do this. Whoops. When your congressman is standing there going, no, 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 you kind of wonder. 6 individuals, this is funny. Well, not funny. 6 individuals have been arrested for their alleged involvement in a criminal organization responsible for the theft of more than 400 vehicles worth approximately $8 million, and this in southeast Michigan, which would be right above us, right? Southeast Michigan. The arrest conducted, well, this is where Benton Harbor St. Joe is, where WHFB is. The arrest conducted by the Force Detroit team, announced by Attorney General Dana Nessel, as a result of months of local police agencies and the Force team. The Force team is also working with Michigan State Police fugitive team to locate 2 additional suspects. But they picked up 6 different guys. And they're not, well, one is Detroit, that's Michigan, that's Michigan, that's Michigan, that's Michigan. So yeah, they're all local. And I don't know how they stole them. It doesn't say how they did it, but each of the, they're in jail. That it does say. They've all gone to jail. Wow. I'll tell you what. That's a lot of financial loss up there. That's not good. That's $8 million worth of cars stolen from various lots, various manufacturers. Huh. You remember the Chevy Bolt? Chevy does. Trust me. GM, LG, that's the battery partner of theirs, reach $150 million settlement over several Chevrolet Bolt EV battery fires and the recall. The agreement filed Thursday in federal court would award owners of 2017 to 22 Chevy Bolts, 1920 or 2022 Chevy Bolts, either $700 or $1,400, depending on whether they had a battery replaced or installed diagnostic software to monitor battery health, according to the public court documents. Well, that's not very much if your car got burned up, Chuck. I mean, and you know what? They don't even think about just how bad it is when your car burns up and you're without a car for several days. That's ugly. That's just plain old ugly. And people that need their cars to go to work, they need them. Oh, no. 110,000 vehicles of the Chevy Bolts. Well, say goodbye to the Bolt. It's done, I think. Dealership lawsuit is accusing Mitsubishi of making false promises. A dealership, Oaks Auto, said the automaker reneged on a deal to provide more vehicles in exchange for the dealership upgrading its advertising displays. Everybody is trying to get their dealers to spend more money. They want them to spend enough money so that they can, they want the money. And they want them to spend it. The multi-million-dollar suit by Oaks Auto, which had been a Mitsubishi dealership since 2018, they haven't been that long, 6 years, alleged the automaker wrongfully required it to purchase unreasonable advertising displays to receive its vehicle allocation and constantly failed to provide sufficient vehicles, among other violations of state dealer law. This brings me to a point we're going to talk about in a minute. Mitsubishi's procedures to allocate vehicles were unpredictable, unreliable, unfair, and made it impossible to turn a profit, the complaint said. Oaks Auto received Mitsubishi's termination notice in June 2023, which became effective September 20th. The dealership group has Ford, Kia, and Buick GMC stores in Kansas and Missouri. They got hosed. And here's the deal. The dealership didn't protest the termination, and the complaint said its suit is not intended to and does not challenge the termination. As Oaks Auto no longer wishes to do business with Mitsubishi, would you figure, given its torturous actions taken in bad faith. Here's the deal. And Ford did this to their people. Their dealers. You got to spend X amount of dollars to do these electric cars, and you got to do this and this and this. But they never got them any more cars. And this Mitsubishi dealer said, hey, I need more cars to sell. I'll buy your advertising trash, but I got to have more cars. And they never gave them the cars. I think this guy is going to make some money off of Mitsubishi. We've been talking about different things going on in the car business. I just told you about a Mitsubishi dealer that was promised more cars if he would spend big money on this advertising, these banners and stuff that they wanted him to buy. He didn't buy them. Well, he bought them, but he didn't get his cars. And Ford, I got to tell you, Ford originally said they had to, spend $1 million to be ready for electric cars, or they weren't going to sell them to them. How can you say that? I mean, if they got to have certain things, they got to have it, but some of that stuff got to be a luxury. $1 million? Well, here's the story about Ford. Ford tells dealers to halt electric vehicle investments while it alters the certification program. So I guess they're going to fix it. Ford is telling dealers enrolled in its electric vehicle certification program to pause any financial commitments while it responds to feedback it got from meeting with them around the country. He went around the country. What's his name? Went around the country. I can't remember his name. But anyway.
Farley?
Farley, yes, Farley.
So Farley went around with an electric, the F-150.
Yes.
He said, I learned a lot on this trip.
Yes, he did. And he told the dealers, don't spend no more money yet because we're going to change this a bit.
I'm sure they gave him a piece of their mind.
Oh, boy, they did. The automaker plans to meet with its dealer council in early June to further tweak the program based on feedback from a series of nationwide series of retail gatherings that wrapped up this month. Dealers enrolled in the program were expected to finish work needed to meet electric vehicle charging requirements in the coming weeks. But Ford is now telling them to postpone any financial commitments. So some of these dealers probably going to have 3 or 4 charging stations and they're not hooked up because they stopped.
Well, think about that, though. You went from spend the money or else to hang on, don't spend the money.
Yeah, hang on, don't spend that money.
Right. What a big turnaround.
Oh, that's just bad. I don't know if I could be a dealer for them. We don't want to make any decisions between now and then and the middle of June when you could maybe have an informed decision-making process based off what we work out with the council in the next few weeks. Andrew Frick, president of Ford Blue, told Automotive News. There's a lot that we will be reviewing. In other words, we were sticking it to you originally. We're gonna quit doing that. All right, Lear, here in the Midwest, pretty big company. They make seats. I think they make all the Ford seats, but Ford is I know they make the Explorer seat because they're about 10 blocks away from them here, and they're in Hammond, Indiana, but they're all over the country. But here's what they did. Lear Corporation is purchasing a Spanish automation and intelligence company to combat wage inflation, one of the biggest pain points for the automotive seating and electronics capabilities, according to a statement. Financial terms were not disclosed for the deal, announced Monday, and expected to close by the third quarter. Details could come Tuesday when the automotive supplier is scheduled to release first quarter financial results and address investment analysis. God. Like other suppliers, Lear has faced increased labor costs and scarcity pressures in the wake of the supply chain crisis, and more recently, the ripple effect of the contract negotiations with the UAW with the Detroit Big Three. A year ago, this guy Scott, said labor had emerged as the supplier's top issue, causing the company to accelerate the integration of robotics at its factory. The union may have just bit themselves in the foot. I don't think that's going to be a good thing.